to elenasbarre low impact full body workouts. On this channel you find different format workouts that will help you to tone up your muscles, improve your posture, gain overall strength, endurance, balance and flexibility. Check more classes on elenasbarre Patreon. Join us for my crazy piano practice on Sundays. We also talk about controversial topics that can trigger you. You participate in our conversations voluntarily at your own risk. Read the disclaimer in the description box. If you don't want to be mentally or physically challenged, I suggest that you skip this video. Thank you so much for your understanding. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to elenasbarre low impact full body workouts. We are almost full house today with Melody and with Emma. Hi, ladies. Good to see you. Always a pleasure to have classes with you and chat with you. Melody is going to lead us through a yoga and Pilates flow. She is in process of completing her Pilates teacher training. And guys, remember to say hi if you're new here. We see accounting ship. Good to see you, accounting ship.
Hi, Shane.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, guys, if you have requests, you can shoot them in so Melody can take your feedback into consideration. We have injured Emma here. She's probably just going to do a bunch of modifications. Always listen to your body, okay? Do what is right for you. Read the disclaimer in the description box. You're practicing this class at your own risk, at your own discretion. Good. So, Melody, if you want to say a few words or if you want to just jump into the class, yeah, feel free to do so. I'm going to the layout a little bit.
Well, so yeah, we've kind of been over the last few months. I've been going through like the classical Pilates mat sequence, doing kind of like just a chunk at a time with some yoga warm-ups and stretches and stuff in between. So this is actually like the very last chunk of moves in like the classical sequence. So I guess I will preface it by saying that like I'm switching the order a little bit because I just feel weird like starting a class off right with boomerang.
Yeah.
Very advanced pose. So I will be showing some modifications. Definitely listen to your body if you got any injuries or anything like that. We'll also say the first 3 Pilates moves that we're going to do, there's really no like safe modifications for if you have osteoporosis. So, if that's the case, you can just kind of stick with whatever, yoga poses we're doing in between and, just kind of do a little stretch or relax, or, you can always take a shavasana in the middle of class if you want. So, go at your own pace, kind of listen to your body, stick with whichever modification is working for you. And I guess we'll get started with some, especially in the morning, I always like to warm up with just some kind of like joint mobility stuff from the Padmapadasana 1 series. So we're going to get started with some of that. So I'll go ahead and come to a nice, comfortable seated position. Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Okay, so let's start with just some breathing. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring them down to the sides. Inhale, overhead. Exhale, let's twist to the right side. Place the left hand on the right knee. Right hand behind, look behind. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, right hand comes to the left knee. Right hand comes behind you. Gently twist around, keeping the spine long. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, do a side bend to the right. Really reach your fingers to the wall. Be sure to keep your left seat bone on the ground. Inhale, come up. Exhale, over to the left now. Just to even it out, we're going to switch our legs. So whichever leg's in front, switch it so that the other leg is in front. And we're just going to do that kind of like twist and lean sequence with the other leg real quick. So inhale, hands come up. Exhale, let's twist to the right. Inhale, hands come overhead. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, reach to the right, keeping both seat bones on the ground. Inhale, reach to the left, both sit bones on the ground. So we got our spine a little bit warmed up, so let's warm up our legs a bit. So we're gonna kind of work from the bottom up. So feet straight out in front of you. We're gonna start by just doing some ankle circles. And as your feet kind of go forward, point the toes, and as they come back, flex the toes back toward you. And then switch directions. Let's do a couple more of those. Moving up to our knee on the right side. You're going to grab behind your hamstring here, just above the knee. Do some little smiley faces. And do some rainbows. Now you're going to cross your ankle over either your shin or your thigh. You can, if you got a little more mobility, you can kind of put it up into the crease where your leg meets your torso, and just really gently kind of push the knee down, opening up the right hip. Great. We'll release that leg and move on to the left one. So we already kind of warmed up our ankles and toes on that one, but you're going to grab above your knee on the back side. And again, just do some little smiley faces. I usually just kind of keep my foot relaxed when I do this. I'm not actively pointing it or flexing it. And some rainbows. And then cross your foot over either the shin or the thigh, or bring it right up almost to the ear. The bottom of your foot's kind of pushing into your hip there. And again, we're just going to really gently, we're going with your own range of movement, just kind of lift and gently press down on the knee. Open up the hip a little bit. And go ahead and extend that again. You can keep your feet out in front of you, or you can go to Vajrasana, Thunderbolt pose, or you can sit cross-legged. We're just going to do a little more arm warm up because we will be getting into the arms a bit, kind of more towards the end of the class. But so let's start with just some kind of, go like you're like flicking water off of your hands. So you're just kind of flicking your fingers out. You can go slow or you can go fast, or maybe start slow and then speed it up. And do some wrist circles. Make it kind of gently close fists. You don't have to clench them super hard. Switch directions. And then arms out in front of you, palms towards the ceiling. Bring your fingertips to your shoulders without dropping the elbows. Extend them again. Just do that a couple more times. And now this time, keep your fingertips on your shoulders. Bring your arms out to the side. And we're just going to trace like you're drawing little circles with your elbows on the walls. You can start small and then gradually get them a little bit bigger. So you come back, really kind of squeeze your shoulder blades together as you come forward. See if you can slide your shoulder blades apart. We'll switch directions. All right, just a couple more before we get into our Pilates. The first Pilates move we're going to do is the seal. So we're going to kind of just open up the spine and the hips a little bit more. So it's one of my favorite, like just kind of full body wake ups in the morning, Chalanasana. One of my friends thought it was like an Indian dish, which it's not, but you can imagine that you're like stirring a big pot of like dal soup or like chana masala. So you're just going to hold both hands together in front and just do big circles. And you want to try to keep the spine fairly straight, those seat bones on the ground. So you're just kind of hinging at the hips and rotating at the same time. So we'll go one more this direction, and then we're going to switch directions, stir the soup the other way. All right, one more. Then we're going to bring our feet into touch to Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. And you can hold on to your feet, or if you find that you're really rounding to your back to do that, you can just kind of hold your shins or ankles. We're just going to kind of gently, it's like you're a little butterfly trying to fly. All right, so you can shake everything out for a second if you want. So we'll go into our first pose. I'm actually going to scooch this just a little so I make sure I'm not like hitting into the wall over here. So seal pose, we're going to basically be in that Baddha Konasana, and you're going to grab under and grab the outside of your ankles. So if you find that your hips are really tight and your legs are coming in and causing your elbows to hyperextend, you might want to just like change the angle, or I guess you could hold them from the front. You definitely don't want to risk injuring yourself. And so for this one, it's kind of a fun warm up. I like rolling around. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold, kind of balance, and then you're going to bring your navel in, kind of round your back a little bit, go back and come up. And if you can, see if you can balance and clap your feet together 3 times. If the balancing is too hard, you can come down to your ankles and just kind of flutter your knees. But we'll do that a few more times. Takes a lot of control to keep the balance and not just kind of go wild with it. All right, so we'll do one more. Oops, went a little overboard there. And now you're going to kind of slowly roll back, but not come back up. Come to a flat back, both feet on the ground. We're just going to do a little counter stretch with Siddha Bandhasana or bridge pose. So feet are about hip width apart, and you want to bring your feet in so that they're touching your fingertips or just about touching. And with an exhale, you're going to start to tilt your pelvis so that the tailbone kind of points towards the ceiling, and then lift your spine off the ground, 1 vertebrae at a time. Really get a nice stretch, push into the ground with your hands, but make sure that you aren't going up so far that you're feeling strain in your neck. Just take 1 or 2 breaths once you're up as high as you can go. Slowly start to reverse it. So you come down 1 vertebrae at a time, and your tailbone is the very last thing to touch the mat. So if you've got like a hyperlordotic curve in your back, it's really hard to do that and not have your tailbone like hit before your lower back. But it can be done with practice. All right, so our next one, Pilates move that we're going to do is controlled balance, which requires quite a bit of core strength. So we're just going to wake up our legs a little bit. So start by just extending them straight up into the air. Press down to the mat firmly with your hands. And you're just going to, 1 leg at a time, lower it down to maybe just a couple inches off the floor, and then bring it back up. Now you want to keep your pelvis as stable as possible while you're doing this. So it requires a lot of core engagement, hip flexor strength. We'll just do 1 more, 1 leg at a time. You want to do these slowly and with control. It's a big principle of Pilates is control, especially with the rolling and stuff. You don't want to just get wild with it, because that's when you flip over, injure yourself. You can keep with alternating legs, or if you want, you can try bringing both down. which you'll find is quite a bit more of a challenge, especially when you're keeping the pelvis straight or steady and keeping it in a neutral position. Let's just do one more, whichever variation you're doing. Bring it up. Now you'll want to make sure that you have enough room behind you, which I think I do, but I'm going to scooch just a bit just in case. So control balance, we're going to start, press the hands into the ground, and you're just going to come up almost into like a plow pose. Now, if your feet don't quite touch the ground easily, you're going to want to keep your hands back like this. If they do touch the ground, you can bring them up overhead. And we're going to start with just kind of alternating one at a time. So you're going to lift one leg up and down, whichever hand position is working for you. If you find that having the hands up above just puts too much strain on your neck, then go ahead and keep them behind. And down. And now if that's easy enough, I mean, it's never really super easy, you can go to grabbing one ankle. So the hands and the foot are both off the ground. You're really just balancing on your shoulder blades. And then you're going to switch. Grab the other ankle as the foot that you're not holding comes up. You'll find that you're wanting to kind of roll back up to a seated position when you raise that leg, and that's where the core control comes in. So just alternate legs a couple more times. And again, if this is putting too much strain on your neck, go ahead and try switching the arm position, or just rest for a couple minutes, or go back to those supine leg raises that we were doing. All right, so that was a nice one. Let's slowly, with control, roll back down to a laying position, bend the knees, put the knees on the feet on the ground. We're going to stretch our hands out to the side. Just kind of give our torso a nice little stretch. So keep both shoulders on the ground and just lower both knees to the right side, getting a nice twist. Good stretch through your left side. And come back up. And we'll lower our legs to the left side. Even out the twist on the other side. And using the core muscles, bring the knees back so they're pointing up. Now straighten the legs, arms come overhead. If you're comfortable with the Pilates roll up, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can roll to your side and use your hands to help you come up. You can also lift a leg and hold on to that to kind of help you pull up. But what you're going to do is basically starting with the head looking up, you're just going to peel the spine off of the mat, keeping your ankles on the ground. Sit up nice and tall. Scooch back here now. And then we're just going to kind of relax in a forward fold for a second. So you can grab your feet or just put your hands on your knees. You don't want to be too rounded in the back. Try to hinge from the hips. Get our hamstrings lengthened for boomerang. Fun one coming up here. And again, this is a very advanced pose. I will show like one modification, but if you've got osteoporosis, there's really not a way to modify this. You can certainly do other Pilates things that work the same muscles, but this is not a good move for that. So come back up to a seated tall position. You're going to cross one leg over the other. It doesn't really matter. We'll kind of do this a few times and alternate sides. And so just like with the control balance, you're going to keep your hands on the ground and you're going to come back with your legs crossed and really stretch them back. And while you're in that position, you're going to cross your legs again. Now for this first one, we're going to keep our hands on the ground to kind of use them as brakes as we roll up And go ahead and bend your knees. It's a little easier to find balance using your hands and your knees, and your bent knees. You don't have as much weight out in front of you. And then, so while your knees are bent, you want to see if you can balance and stretch your arms out behind you. You can clasp your hands together, but if you've got shoulder issues or wrist issues, it might be easier to just stretch them out. Then you're going to straighten the legs as you bring them back down to the ground, and just kind of like you're doing the sit and reach. The presidential fitness test that, I don't know, at least I had to do in elementary school. So now our other leg's crossed on top. So we're going to do that one more time the modified way. So you're going to roll back, switch the legs, come up with bent knees. See if you can find your balance. Extend your arms out behind you or clasp the fingers together. And then as you straighten your legs, come down, keeping that leg crossed over. And you're going to do a nice stretch forward fold. Come back to sitting tall. So we'll stick with that variation if that's working for you. Otherwise, we're going to go into the more challenging version. I'll see if I can even do it this morning. I'm still kind of waking up. So legs are straight. We're going to roll back. Cross the legs so that the other leg is on top now. And as you come up, see if you can balance in a teaser. Clasp the hands together. Just straighten them out behind you. And then slowly with control, come to a sitting position. Nice stretch forward. Do that one more time, this version. So come back. Switch the legs. Come back up, see if you can balance. Again, if you need to keep your hands on the ground, you can. Stretch the arms out behind. Bring them down as you come forward. You can then release your hands and do a nice stretch. So that's a really fun one. So that's we're going to just revisit one of the poses that we warmed up with just to it's a pretty intense one. So we're just going to do a really nice side stretch. We kind of went gently into it for the warm up. If you want to get a little bit deeper and you feel like you're, warmed up enough, you want a little deeper stretch, you can come down to your elbow. Just make sure that both seat bones are still on the ground. Take a couple breaths here. And come back up. And to the other side. I got a couple nice little back pops there. So again, listen to your body. Make sure you aren't bending too deep or feeling any pain. It should be a nice stretch. You don't want to be leaning too far forward or lounging back. You're kind of going directly out to the side. Come back up. We're going to do a little side stretching and get prepped for our next Pilates pose, which is going to be the side bends, which is a challenging one. So for gate pose, obviously if you've got wrist issues, you can go on the ground. If that's too low and you have like a ton of yoga blocks, let me grab my block bag here. Got so many. It's so much fun. So a modification for gate pose, if you do have wrist issues or injuries, you can kind of stack your blocks so that they're a good height. Come to your forearm, and then you still have your torso and your leg in a nice line. Because coming down like this, sometimes you're just too crunched and it's awkward. You can also, if you really want to work your obliques and stuff, you can just omit that hand. Otherwise, you're going to come with your hand to the ground, stretch overhead. Can't really see my foot, but my foot is staying on the ground. So this really kind of stretches and opens up the whole side of your body. I'll come back up. Let's do a couple rounds of breath on the other side. So extend your other leg. hand comes to the ground, or forearm on a stack of blocks. Or you can use books or like a low stool, whatever kind of puts you at the right height. Nice big stretch. And we'll come back up to kneeling. So side bends, there's a ton of variations for this one, which is good. You can kind of adjust it based on how you're feeling, whatever day. If you have any injuries or joint issues. If you have shoulder issues, it's one of those things that you are, no matter what variation you do, you're going to be putting some weight on your shoulder. So just listen to your body. We'll kind of start with kind of the ones that are a little less intense, and we'll work our way up. So at any point you can be like, this one's working for me, and just stick with that. Or you can, like I said, always take a little shavasana rest or a child's pose, or just keep doing the, the side bends or the gate pose that we just did. So the first level, you're going to want to keep your ankles, your hips, and your elbow all in a line. So I like to kind of like look at my mat and be like, okay, this elbow is about 5 inches away. Okay. Just kind of make sure everything's the same distance from the back of your mat. And you can have your hand on your hip. You can have it on the ground, but you don't want to be leaning forward into it, or you can just have it at your side. And what you're going to do is you're just going to lift your hips off the ground, bring them back in. You're going to feel a really strong contraction kind of right above your hip on the underside. Do a couple like that. And you can stick with this, or you can extend one leg. So you're coming up a little bit higher. Do a couple like that. Or you can extend both legs. I usually keep the top leg just a little bit in front. Do a couple like that. Working our way up. You can bring your bottom leg back so that it's bent. Make sure that your ankle is still in alignment. You can come up to your arm now. And again, choose your hand position. And you're just going to lift up like so. Do a couple like that. And if you're like, I think I can take a little more this morning, you can extend your legs. Again, you want to make sure that you're keeping that alignment. So straight line, heels, hips, shoulder. And you're going to come all the way up. And this, I definitely feel it a little bit in my wrist. So I actually kind of prefer to do my forearm, but it's good to do a couple every once in a while. So let's take a quick little just shake out your wrist, because we're not super duper warmed up for that yet. So another variation of this that's really going to work the inner thigh of the upper leg is you'll want to keep both legs out. You can do it from the forearms, and this is actually a little more challenging. I'm going to demonstrate from the hand. So you come up, and then you take this bottom leg, you point it out in front, bring it through, point it behind. And you want to keep your torso as still as possible, which is a challenge. You kind of want to roll. So we'll just do one more of these. Place it down. If you want to just go for it this morning, come down. Maybe we'll do another quick little wrist shake out, a couple circles, a couple up and downs. So for twister, you're going to come up, and you really can't do this from the forearm, and you're going to thread your hand kind of under your body and twist, come back down. We'll just do 2 more of those. All right, back down. Go ahead and circle or shake out the wrist again. And we did all that on one side, so now we got to even it out on the other side. So again, stick with whatever variation you're feeling today. We'll kind of go through all 3 on this side again. I guess there's technically 5 positions I went through. So again, we're going to start just making sure everything's lined up in a straight line the way it should be. We're going to start on our forearm with both knees on the ground. I guess knees stacked. I'm just going to lift up and down. My upper arm's just kind of flopping and being lazy here, but again, do what you want with that upper arm. You can extend your upper leg, come up a little bit higher. Do one more like that. The final variation with the forearm on the ground. Extend both legs. You're going to come up without rolling your torso forward. Now bring that bottom leg so that it's bent. Check your position alignment again. We're going to come up onto our wrist if that works for you. If not, just stick with the forearm variation. And again, coming up, I like to kind of bring my arm into it. So you can kind of swoop it down as you come up. With an exhale, lift the arm overhead, get kind of a nice stretch. And if you want, you can extend that bottom leg. Coming up, we'll do, see, 2 more like this. We'll come down for a quick wrist shakeout break if you need it before we thread the needle on that side. Circles. All right, again, like this is not usually like something that I do for like an early in the morning type workout thing, which is one of the reasons why we're doing all the little wrist circle breaks. So thread the needle. Again, you can do it from the forearm. It's actually more challenging, at least on like the core and stuff. Easier on the wrist for sure. We're gonna come up, make sure that everything's in alignment. You're gonna lift that bottom leg and point it forward. Oops, I've got like a wall in the way there. Well, I'll do my best. You might need to kind of adjust your position. So lots of moving around in Pilates. So do one more like that. If you need to come down for a quick wrist break, do that. Maybe do some circles. We'll do our last little side bend thing here, which is a twister. So again, you have to have both legs out for this, and there's not really a modification for doing it on your knee or your forearm. So you can just take a break or go back to one of those modified side raises or side bends. So for this, we're going to come up and then thread your hand under your body. Back down. Let's just do 2 more of those. Okay, super. So let's take a little tiny break. A couple of wrist circles. We're just going to do a couple cat and cows. We really kind of got our like side bending there. So let's get some forward and back bending as well. So inhale, you're going to drop the belly and look up. Exhale, round the back, look toward the navel. Just do a couple more of those. And sink back into child's pose. Let's take a little breather here before we go into some of our other stuff. Feel free to circle out your wrists a little bit more if you need. If you want, you can clasp the hands behind the back. Rotate the palms so that they're pointing out, away from your body, and kind of do some little shoulder stretching as well. Kind of pulse the hands up. And stretch them out to the side. Let's take another couple breaths here. We're going to go into our final 2 Pilates moves from the classical mat sequence. So the first of those 2 is rocking. So go ahead and come to your stomach. I'm going to start with like a variation. So if you don't have like a super open like spine in terms of back bending and stuff, which that's something that I personally struggle with. I'm working on it still. So kind of a way to get some of the benefits without going into the full, it's basically like the yoga bow pose. I think it's is that Dhanurasana? But anyway, you're going to come up onto one of your forearms and then keeping both hips on the ground, just kind of grab one of your feet and pull it towards your body. If that's too much of a stretch, you can always grab like a strap, loop the foot. Oh, this is just a tangled mess. There we go. And you can just kind of, pull it however it feels good. You want to keep your chest open so your sternum's kind of pointing forward. And you want to keep both hips kind of even so you don't want to be, lean into one side, anything like that. That's just a good way to keep, get with the opening of the front of the body. You're not ready for full bow pose. Come down and you can just rest your cheek on your hands for a second. And then we're going to do that on the other side. So you're going to come up onto your other forearm. And again, if you need to use a strap, that's great. Otherwise, just grab your foot. Make sure that your shoulders stay squared to the front and your sternum is pointing forward. Your chest is open. And you're just going to take a couple deep breaths, feeling a nice stretch, basically from like the top of your knee all the way up, through your shoulder and down your left arm. So go ahead and release that. Come down. You can rest your cheek on your hands for a couple seconds if you want. And so now for full rocking. Again, you can use a strap if grabbing your feet is just like feeling like a little too much. That can be kind of awkward, just like getting your feet into the strap. You got to kind of, there we go. So again, you're going to just pull on the strap. And as you breathe, you're going to find that you're rocking a little bit. Or you can just go ahead and grab kind of the tops of your ankles, tops of your feet, and really push your feet away from your booty. And as you breathe, it's hard to talk and breathe at the same time, but you'll find that you rock a little bit. Now, when you come forward, when you exhale, you don't want to drop the feet in. You want to keep pushing them out away from the body. So just do a couple more breaths like this. When you're ready, you can release and come down to your mat. Take another couple breaths in crocodile pose, which is just basically laying on your tummy and resting your cheek on your hands. And we're about to move into our final Pilates move of the classical mat work sequence. No strap required for this. So it's basically just push-ups. So if you have a variation of push-ups that you know that you like, go ahead and just get started with that. Otherwise, I will give few modifications. Again, if you're really hardcore, you can do one-handed push-ups if you've got like a shoulder or wrist injury. I don't think I'm there yet. But we're going to start with kind of the easiest modification, which puts the least amount of weight on the wrists and shoulders and everything. So as far as hand position goes, you can keep your hands kind of directly under your shoulders. You can do a wider arm stance so that they're like just outside your mat. You can rotate so your fingers are pointing towards each other and your elbows go out. So each hand position is going to kind of work the muscles a little bit differently. I'm going to do kind of like a moderately wide push-up thing. So the first one, you're just basically in a box position, knees bent, and you're going to bend down. Now you don't want to bend like that and stick your booty out. So as you come down, you're almost doing like a chaturanga type push-up where your elbows stay stacked above your hands. So we'll just do 2 more of those. Again, you can go to child's pose or any of the stretches that we've done so far if you're not feeling push-ups today. So come up and we're going to just kind of push back into a child's pose. Really stretch your arms. So kind of walk your fingers out away from you. Okay, now keep your hands planted. Maybe kind of try to predict what hand position you're going to want. And we're going to come forward, bend the knees. I like to cross my ankles. And so you want your body to basically be in a line from like knees to shoulders for the kneeling plank. And again, you're just going to bend the knees, bend the elbows, push back up. We'll do 2 more like this. Now, after your last one, you can either go back into child's pose or you can push up into a down dog. Let's take a couple breaths here, stretch out. And for our last 4, you can go to any of those variations we've done so far, or you can come forward into a plank, double check your hand position, and start doing push-ups. So do 4 if you can. If you get like halfway through and you're like, okay, this is a lot, come down to your knees or go back into that box position. All right, and do 1 more down dog. A little stretch for the shoulders, but while still working the shoulders a little bit. It's more of a stretch for the triceps. All right, and just a couple little stretches to stretch that out. So you're going to come back down to your knees. And again, if you have shoulder injuries, some of these stretches might not work for you. We're going to start by coming into a Sphinx pose, basically. So up on your forearms, belly's on the ground. And we're going to start with our left arm. So you're just going to take your left arm, kind of interlace it under, and then you take your right arm and kind of walk it away from you. I'm like, where did the camera screen here? There we go. So you're getting a nice stretch on both shoulders, really. Let's take a few breaths here. And then when you're ready, come back up into Sphinx. Now you're going to take your left arm and you're going to extend it out to the left side. And then come down. And maybe that's enough stretch for you. Otherwise, you can start to roll onto your left side. So my left arm is going straight out behind me. If you want, you can incorporate a little quad stretch. Grab that upper leg. You can kind of start to roll back as far as is comfortable or as far as the wall will allow. It's getting a nice stretch to the front of the left shoulder here. All right, we're going to come back to our bellies in a Sphinx pose for just a second. Kind of getting set up for the next side. So now we're going to do our right shoulder. You're going to take your right hand, you're going to lace it in that little triangle created by your left arm and your torso. And then start to just walk your left fingers away from your body as you come to rest on your right arm. Get a nice stretch to the back of the shoulder. Couple more breaths here. And then start to come back up onto your forearm. Unlace your right hand. Just take a Sphinx for a second. Really kind of pull your arms toward your body so you get a nice opening through the chest. We're going to extend the right arm out to the right side. And again, if this is enough, cool. Otherwise, you can start to kind of roll your body onto your right side. You can just rest your left leg up, or if you want, you can add a little quad stretch. Good stretch through the front of the right shoulder now. Also going into the bicep and even the forearm a little bit. So slowly release. Come back down to your belly. I always like to end classes with like some sort of little gentle inversion just to get the blood flow back to my head. So if you want, you can grab a block. So options here, you can do a bridge. If you're feeling real adventurous, you can go into wheel pose. I figured I'd just do a little Viparita Karani. If you have a wall, it can be really nice to just kind of brush your legs against the wall, because then you can really just like relax into it. You're not having to, use your hip flexor muscles and all that to keep yourself upright. You can put a block kind of under your hips there, and that'll just kind of elevate you a little bit more. So just take maybe 5 to 10 deep breaths, starting to relax the body, prepare for Shavasana. So you can actually stay in this position for your Shavasana. If you're already relaxed and you're like, I just don't even feel like moving now. Otherwise, you can start to bring your feet down. You can also just lay on the ground, stick your feet up in the air. Should have mentioned that. Remove your block if you have a block. And start to set yourself up for Shavasana. We'll probably just stay here for about a minute or so, but you can certainly stay longer if you want. So legs are apart, toes are flopping out to the side, totally relaxed. Arms are away from the body at 45 degrees or so, 30 to 45, with the palms facing up toward the ceiling. You can just start to scan your body, notice where there's any tension, let it go. Breathe into any spots that feel like they might be a little sore. Just let your breathing rate and your heart rate come back down to a more normal, relaxed. It was kind of an intense class for early in the morning if you just woke up like I did. So again, you can stay in your Shavasana as long as you'd like. If you're ready to start coming out though, just start by wiggling your fingers and toes. Maybe do some wrist and ankle circles. You can do a full body stretch, reach the hands overhead, point the toes, and you can kind of reach the right hand to the left and extend the right toe out as far as you can. And like it's called banana pose, banana asana. Come back, full body stretch, fingers and toes reaching away from each other, and then left fingers kind of reach towards the right. So you extend the left toes as far as they'll go. Relax your body, roll onto your right side. Fetal position, you can take a breath or two here. When you're ready, just use your hands to push yourself back up to a seated position. Sit comfortably and take a couple just kind of rotations with the upper body. Just kind of, again, waking it back up. Maybe a couple wrist circles. So we did spend quite a bit of time on our wrist today. If you're doing the up on the hand variation, the side bends and the push-ups. Maybe just a couple seated cat-cows. So hands on the knees, really reach the sternum forward. And then holding the knees, just kind of lean back without rolling all the way back. We're not doing seal again. You can if you want. Just do one more of those. And that's that. That's the end of the classical mat work sequence of Pilates. So Let me know what you guys thought.
It was fun, Mel. Thank you. Great
Okay, cool.
class. We
I really
got
enjoyed
one
that.
emoji. Do you see it? Do you see like a shocked face?
What?
Oh, I'm Emma.
No. Do you see on top, or I'm the only one? I can see the reaction was sent for the class.
Oh,
It's funny.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I can
no,
see
yes,
that.
Oh, bummer. It's so funny.
Yeah, again, like I said, I probably wouldn't normally I don't know, plan a class like just like that, but it's I'm been going through the sequence like chunk by chunk, and this is like the final chunk of the
Yeah,
sequence. So
yeah,
it was, I tried to kind of add in some yoga stuff to kind of like get us warm. So it's because like I said, if I were
yeah.
just doing it, it's like be like bam, boomerang right off the bat, and that's inappropriate.
I appreciate the
Yeah.
modifications as well. Thank you.
Yeah, the
Okay.
modifications were great. Yeah, I needed
Okay.
them. Sundays, like weekends, are so hard for me because during the week I exercise a lot, and then on the weekends I'm like, I can't. I couldn't even keep up with the side planks today. The all of
I
the
know. Yeah, I found myself being like, man. Well, and the push-ups, it's like normally I can do push-ups, but I think
yeah,
part of it too, I like, kind of celebrated my exam yesterday with some champagne afterwards. And like
oh
That's
yeah,
I
so
don't
yeah.
normally do that, so I'm like feeling a little more tired today
Oh yeah,
than
for
usual.
those
But
those of you guys who don't know, Melody just passed her electrician exam. Was it
well, it's
electrician
not.
exam?
It's just like to get into the apprenticeship program. So I'm not like an electrician yet, but hopefully within a couple years.
Wow, but it's
So
still it's cool.
I'm getting too old
Who?
for framing.
Yeah,
I can admit it.
look who is saying hi. Sam is here. Oh well, he was.
Oh,
Maybe he's not now. Yeah, congrats, Mel from
well, thank
accountancy.
you.
Yeah. Well, great class. I really enjoyed it. Aside from the fact that I was really sore, although I think I managed to over-exercise myself, but it was a cool class. Very nice flow. You actually reminded me of
Oh,
some
hello.
exercises that I usually don't teach. Like, oh gosh, I forgot the
There
name.
you are.
What was the name for the one that you lift your legs and you try to reach? Oh, like balance.
Oh, the control
The
balance.
controlled balance, that's the one I usually don't teach because I see people like they I'm struggling sometimes with stiff neck.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ask me to do it like early in the morning, without preconditioning, without like a full class leading towards it, I won't
Right.
be able to do it because my back is quite stiff, like the upper back, so I have to really work on it in order to be able to do that. So I was having trouble today. Like usually when I'm warmed, it's not to say that your class was bad or like not enough warm up, but it's like I'm feeling really sore and stiff today. It's just one of those days. So yeah, I usually don't teach that one because I find it very very hard for people, especially with the neck injuries. So you
Yeah.
will see as you start teaching Pilates, what I noticed, and I've been teaching it for a while now, you're going to cut out like some of the exercises. You're not going to teach all of them, even to the advanced people who like you think who know the flow already. You will still be reluctant to give it to them because like these are very challenging
I didn't
things.
have my
Yeah.
yoga background, I would have struggled.
Hmm.
The what?
Um, if I didn't have a yoga background, I
Yeah,
struggled. But the ones I find the hardest are the side bends, purely because of my shoulder.
shoulder. Yeah,
Mhm.
those
Like
ones are harder.
like
Yeah.
Melody pointed out, even on your forearm, you're still putting all that on your shoulder.
Or on the forearm, it's even probably more because you are missing the forearm muscles that are supporting you. There are still some muscles in here, that we have. So, like radius and ulna. They
I probably shouldn't even do them, but I'm not the softly type, if you know what I mean. I give everything a go. I'd rather give it a go and give up or stop than
test it and
be like,
see how
no,
it
I
feels.
should be sensible and I shouldn't do those. But no, I'm not that
Yeah.
type of person. So don't ever take advice from me, anybody.
Well, like for that one, there, like you can do the gate pose from yoga, and it'll basically work like the exact
Yeah.
same muscles. So that's kind of the warm up that we did, where you're like this. But like I said, you can like keep your arms from touching the
this is
ground
the
and
only
just kind
this
of
is
do
the only
this up
block
and
I've
down.
got. So I didn't even have a stack of blocks. That's
Oh.
literally all I've got.
I've never seen a block that looks like a nice sitting cushion, but I've never seen one like that.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so
So
wide.
I've gone all these weeks without any of my yoga equipment. It's all at home.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I've only got 2 more weeks, so I may as well carry on.
Well, that other modification that you just showed is really good for the obliques too. So in case somebody is really struggling with the shoulders and they can't put any load. Another one for the oblique twist would be, I think you've covered it last time when you're laying down, clasp your hands behind your head and you start just lifting the shoulder to one side and then to the other
kind of
side.
the
And the knees,
crisscross.
and the knees can be bent, like in a tabletop, basically you are just laying down. And you can even extend like one leg, or you can do the tap with one leg and then you switch them and then you do this. It's not really a crunch. I don't want to call it a crunch because you are not lifting
More
your
of a
hips.
twist. Well, and like the doing like Navasana, like boat pose, which you can do with bent legs or straight, but if you just kind of like twist.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that's like a really intense, and that really gets into the hip flexors and quads a bit too. So yeah, there's usually when there's something in Pilates that just like doesn't have a good modification, there's going to be like a yoga pose that will, work the muscles that you want. Just there's so many more yoga poses than like Pilates poses, and like yoga doesn't cover everything as, Pilates, I feel like it, targets the core.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should say it forces you to like target the core, because there's a lot of yoga that like you should be engaging your core, but you can still
do the
pose without,
This is why cross training is so important, guys, because you might be missing, and it's not because yoga is bad or anything. It's because you don't have time in the class. You have to do other things during that flow. Cross training is really good for that reason, because in Pilates you can really get deeper into the core muscles, and then they will be active when you're doing the yoga poses. Even like chair pose, it requires you to activate your abdominals, right? So you're not arching into your back. I recommend to cross train because you need it. You need to build strong core muscles so that you can safely perform other fitness activities like yoga. Even a lot of arm balancing poses require the core muscles and the strength of the arms. And I find that people, especially at the gym where I teach, they really love Pilates. They really do, because it helps them with other fitness activities a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely a good cross train. I feel like yoga and Pilates do complement each other really well.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed the program, and
thanks for recommending it. It was a really good course. So
yeah, she's really good. I love how she teaches. She has different classes also. I'm still in process of completing some of them. This is why I'm taking days off from teaching live classes on YouTube, because they take so much energy. Even if it's a mini class, it's still a lot of mental and physical exhaustion for me, instead of like doing what I need to do, like performing and improving my own technique, somebody correcting me. This is why I miss our classes here, so that I get to be challenged too. Yeah. And you always seem to challenge me, even if you change the sequence like a little bit, you add one thing, or like with different teachers, it's recommended that you um, take classes with multiple instructors just to see the different approach, different methodology to teaching maybe the same kind of class, so take a couple of classes with different yoga teachers, or even Pilates for variety.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't want to stay away from the program if you're taking the specific program. You want to stick to it, right? But like once you're done with it, try maybe something else and see if you like the classes. Yeah. Who is feeding the moose while you're gone, Emma?
I've let it starve. Like,
I must have missed this
the
about the
plant,
moose, but
the plant is feeding the moose. I've got this big stick, and at one point it wasn't in the plant; it was on the back of my sofa, and a counting sheet couldn't get past it. It looked like I had a moose in the background.
oh,
That's where the moose jokes have come from.
nice.
Yeah, we have Erica Dora. Welcome. I just don't understand the comment. Yeah, remember to say hi, guys. If you're new here, join us. We are doing this exchange of yoga and Pilates classes, and I also taught face yoga last time. It was a lot of fun,
Well,
Melody.
I'm bummed that I
It's a
missed
bummer
that.
you miss. Yeah, it's a
I was
bummer
up
you
in the
miss
mountains
this.
without any internet.
Oh, don't worry,
Yeah, I know.
we'll get you one day for it.
Yeah, we will get you one day. We'll see maybe next week, because I don't know how Emma will feel if she wants to teach us something light, maybe not too difficult, when you can,
Yeah.
show us. You can do it, or I can teach face yoga. So we have face yoga here. We actually have different yoga styles, but right now, Melody is in the process of completing her Pilates teacher training, and we are kind of cycling through some classes. So if you have requests, guys, send them in. You can leave your comments after we are done with this video. Tell us what you'd like to work on. You can also fill out the forms on the website. Have I told you that? You can check the website. I actually have a form there for the fitness activities. So if you have some preferences, send them in. Then we will try to arrange a class or something. And also for my piano live stream, I've only received a few requests from like months ago, and I think I've played those songs, unless you want me to repeat them. Yeah. So use the website. I check the forms regularly. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, accounting ship. Thank you. Yes, he's using the comments. I created the comments on Nightbot, so I will see if it shows up. I don't know. Accounting ship. Yeah, here you go. You see, to gain balance, strength, and flexibility, it's important to cross-train and stay consistent. Read more about EB fitness program and activities on this channel. So, and
Nice.
then there is a website. See, this way I don't have to say, you guys, if you hear me mentioning it, you can just boom, program, and then it writes it down. I love Nightbot. It's fun. Yeah, Nightbot must be asleep. Yeah, it wasn't very quick, I should
It's a
say.
Sunday.
Maybe
Yeah.
he's nocturnal. His name's Nightbot. The sun comes up and he goes to bed or something. I don't know. I don't understand technology.
Yeah, well, and then there is another one here, a member.
It's 6:30 here, so it's almost evening. Well, almost
And
night.
then, yeah, you see, it shows become elenasbarre patron, and then it gives you the. It's a fun tool to use when you have a lot of information that you want to say. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Great class, Mel. We will keep it up. We will do the yoga. We'll see how Emma is feeling next week. So tell me, Emma, if you are up for teaching the class.
Yeah.
Then we will put you up. I still don't know what half of the comments do, so I'm just guessing. Yeah, you can try all of them. I mean, yeah, I have a list of comments on my website. I think
There is
have
on the intro as well, isn't there?
and it was briefly in the intro, yeah. And also on my YouTube channel, I listed them separately. And then there is also this one collab. Yeah. Oh, you are so fast, Ship. Now it's awake.
Oh,
Now
wow.
it's awake. Would you like to collaborate with us? Reach out and a specific email, you see. And then I like this one.
Consistent actions lead to consistent results.
This one says only consistent
Oh.
actions lead to consistent results. Keep exercising.
True.
Nice.
You see. So cool. I'm glad that Ship is getting familiar with the comments. He's the guy who is using them all the time. So thank you, Ship. You are doing your moderating work really well. And then here we have Pilates.
Yoga.
And Pilates is great for building strong core muscles that contribute to proper spinal and pelvic posture and alignment. This slow activity can help release back pain, improve digestion, and gain strength. Well, and flexibility. I couldn't fit in everything. There is a limit, you know? You have to choose which one you want. Oh, and then yoga here. So here you can find different yoga styles to suit your physical needs and capabilities, and then the list of yoga styles that we have here.
Nice.
Oh, I should have mentioned Kundalini yoga. Well, I
Yeah.
kind of mentioned the ones that I probably need to go and adjust it, yeah, so that people can find Kundalini yoga too. Got to add face yoga to that list. It won't fit. I have to take something out of that list. Maybe I should take
Maximum word limit.
Yeah, there is a word limit. Yeah, so I have to see what I can take. Yeah. Well, thank you, those of you who joined us, who watched the replay. Remember to please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. Leave Melody your feedback about the class, what you liked about the sequence, what you were struggling with, what you could do. This kind of feedback always helps us to create better classes. And we'll see you next time. And join me for my piano practice. I'm not going to run a super long one because I have a list to do today. But I'll play for maybe an hour or so. Okay? Cool.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mel. And
Yeah, thank you.
Lorena.
Thank you, ladies, for joining. You keep me all engaged, and I'm like, I went to bed at 3 a.m, but I'm still going to wake up because I know that I want to talk to you guys.
Bye, see.
Yeah. Great
All
to
right. Well,
see
hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend, and see you next weekend.
And
Yeah,
you.
take
Bye.
care. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.